Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. I hope you're doing well. We're going to do something special today. We do this Meetup thing on Meetup.com for podcasters. Do it twice a week, every Tuesday and Saturday. We get together with podcasters just like you to talk podcasting, to do podcasting in community, and to support each other. It's a lot of fun. We get to talk about great things. The beautiful thing, it's the collective. It's all of us sharing together, being accountable to each other. If you're the type of podcaster who just can't get started, you love to learn, but you don't really execute well, and you need some people to gently nudge you forward to actually recording and getting that podcast out of your brain and into the microphone, we got a great group of people, all at different levels and stages of podcasting. We get together, again, on Tuesdays and Saturdays on meetup.com. Completely free for you. There's no funnel. There's no sales tricks here at all. It's just us doing community together. If you want to meet some of the brightest, funniest, smartest, and most caring podcasters in the world, then you need to come to our meetup. A, because you are probably that type of person, and we need you. And B, you're going to get support and great connections, great ideas, and a place to belong. And I think as podcasters, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this forever, the idea of getting together with people who just get you without having to jump on a plane and fly across the country and spend a buttload of money on conferences, hotels, and food and travel and how about free? And you can do it from your home in your pajamas with a coffee. Come on. I think you can make time for this, and I'd love for you to come and join us. So what we did is we recorded one of our recent get-togethers. It was a Saturday, and it's on this particular day. It's the end of the month. It's the last Saturday of the month. It's open Q&A. We have no agenda. We have no idea what we're talking about next. So we're going to keep it real and raw, y'all. And you get to hear us kind of going back and forth. We have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. And we just love being together. So if you have time in your calendar to meet with other podcasters, please go to meetup.com. You'll see we'll have a link in the show notes. Also, you can just go to howtopodcast.ca. You'll see the meetup link right there on the page on the website. And it's free. Join us and come on in. We'd love to have you. The only thing we're asking if you come to this group is you show up. Just show up. You got to be here. Signing up for this and never coming, it's not going to help you. You need to sign up and join us. Make time for this. I promise you'll get more out of it by coming, and you're going to learn a lot. So come to this meetup to give, and in the process of coming to give to the group, you're going to get so much more back. So this is one of our meetups from March, and I just wanted to share with you and give you a behind-the-scenes feel and look. I'm going to call out people's names while we're doing this, so you'll kind of get a sense of all the people talking. I'll have links for everybody that's on the show. Some people here joining us in this meetup don't have a podcast yet, but some people do. So I'll have links to all of the podcasts that are represented here, so you get to go follow these people and listen to their shows as well. It's a big win all around, okay? So we start off the beginning of the meetup with some wins from the week, and you get to hear people jump in and share what they're excited about, what's happening for them personally or with their podcast, whatever. And you get a sense that you're going to dive right in with us. Again, the whole idea for this episode, to give you a taste of what it feels like to be in our meetup, to encourage you and maybe nudge you forward to say, it's time to stop podcasting alone. It's time for you to come and join us over at howtopodcast.ca and check out our meetup. We'd love to have you. We have a couple extra seats left open, and there's a seat for you anytime. We'd love to have you come by and join us. So here we go. Let's jump in to our meetup with the How to Podcast series family. Here we go. Hope you enjoy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the How to Podcast series, where we got some of my favorite people gather together on a Saturday morning to talk podcasting, to support each other in our Meetup group. I'm going to introduce you to some of my favorite friends, and they're all here together. We've all promised to be on our best behavior, including Bill, which is exciting. And we're going to just talk podcasting. And I wanted you to get a sense of what we do on a Saturday. And you're going to meet some amazing podcasters, some new podcasters working on a brand new show, which will be coming to you soon. And you get the chance to listen to a bunch of great people and meet my friends. That's the coolest part. These are all my friends, including Bill. He's also my friend, and I'm so glad to have everybody here. Everybody, welcome to the How to Podcast Series Meetup group. Everybody wave your hands like this on the screen. Yeah, all right, everybody's going crazy. Oh my gosh, okay. Tone it down, Bill. Okay, great. Everyone, welcome. Let's go around the room, introduce ourselves, our show, what we talk about, kind of like a brief elevator pitch for our show, and we'll have links for people listening at home to go and check out these great, amazing people. But let's go around the room and do an introduction to our show and who we are, where we are, maybe. Let's do that. Victoria, can you kick us off, please? Our 3-year friendship anniversary on Facebook. We're celebrating today. We're all happy. Victoria, please tell everybody about you and your show.
Thank you. Dave is my Yoda. I am actually Dr. Victoria Curie. I have 3 podcasts that have remained in the top 2% for over 2.5 years. That is all because of Dave and his Yoda wisdom. The 3 shows that we have are A Contagious Smile Teen Talk, where teenagers are able to come on and use their voice because they feel like they're voiceless, and we help make change in the schools and bullying and help them realize that they're amazing and that they don't need to kind of fall back into the society that's so negative and dark right now. My husband, Michael, and I have Unstoppable, which is where we are unfiltered, and you have the redhead and the redneck, and we talk and joke and kid around, but yet we talk about very serious subjects, and we have people on there like pedophiles and abusers, and we bring them to fruition and to the forefront and hold them accountable. And then the other one is A Contagious Smile, where we shine the light on amazing people and families and make inspiration and show them that they are worth fighting for. And that is who we are, what we do. I am an author, a public speaker. I'm now on Cameo, waiting for them to realize that was a mistake. And because I love Dave so much, I have all of my stuff in one link, so it's simple for him.
I love that. All right. Yeah. So that's good. I'll have all the links for my dear friend, Victoria. And as apparently her Yoda, I think I'm small and green. And to quote Kermit, it's not easy being green, just so everyone knows. But I'm glad to have you here, Victoria. It's always good to have you here. Darla, the person who hasn't hung up a picture of me on her wall behind her yet, soon to do. She moves around a lot, and I'm so glad she's got time to be with us. Darla, welcome. Tell everybody about what you do. Tell them about your show.
Yeah, my name is Darla Badilla, and I have a podcast called You Have the Power, The Road to Recovery from Trauma and Narcissistic Abuse. So I do specialize in helping women through trauma and narcissistic abuse and taking back their personal power. As a self-love coach, I, in that process, help women to fall in love with themselves so they can attract their dream partner. My podcast is really kind of different topics, whether it's education on trauma and narcissistic abuse, healing modalities, personal stories of both me and my guest of overcoming challenges and trauma as well. And I am still kind of new to podcasting, but really enjoying it. I started in August of 24, and I'm absolutely loving it and super excited. As we talked about earlier, I'm kicking off a bunch of 4-part series, one starting on Monday, about finding your voice after narcissistic abuse. I love this group. Would we do a plug? Because I love coming here every Saturday morning. And yes, I was up early. And it's for the community, because not only am I learning technical stuff, but you need just to have that online community support and camaraderie. And well, I got to get up early so I can get teased because I haven't put up my picture yet.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Darla. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bill, the guy with the coolest intro music to a podcast you'll ever find, and one of the nicest people that Florida has to offer. Bill, tell everybody about your shows and what you're up to.
A pretty low bar with the Florida thing.
There you go.
I'm Bill Monty. I have 2 podcasts. One is called Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older, which is about the journey of getting older, not about being old, but about getting older, which hopefully we are all doing every single day. And it's just lessons on life, things to think about as you age, be it applying for Social Security if you're in America, if it's just learning how to take life one day at a time and realizing when you might be starting to run out of one days. And so you need to start living and not just thinking about living. So that's Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older. The second podcast is Tales from South Florida, which is all about the wonder of living and growing up in South Florida. So if you've been here a while, if you would like to visit, or if you're just interested in South Florida, we talk about everything from historic places down here like the Vizcaya Museum, shows like Miami Vice and Flipper, the day that Key West seceded from the Union, and all the great historical things. It's a lot of fun. I keep all my episodes at right around 15 minutes. So you can jump in. By the time you leave, you're going to have a smile on your face and a good time. You can join me also at talesfromsouthflorida.com. I'm on Blue Sky, Bill Monty Podcaster, and recently on Substack. Look for William Substack.
There you go. Nice. We'll have links for all of these amazing things, which is going to be fun to do when we're done here. But I'll have links for everybody so you can go listen and follow up with these amazing human beings. Thank you, Bill. Always good to see you. Now, if you stick around with us long enough, you come in without a podcast, you're going to leave with one. And Janet's in the process. Janet, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Janet Wizawati. I'm another fellow Canadian, and Dave and I met a long time ago.
Yes.
Before podcasting. And I think you were just starting when we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an online radio show back in about 2017, before podcasting really took off. So I just love this group. And after a conversation with a friend the other day, I think I've got a podcast.
I love it.
I will share more when it's more developed. Right now, it's like spiders' webs everywhere. But it's great to be here. I love the group.
Awesome. Now, off camera, we have someone recovering from some pretty amazing massive surgery this week. Sharon is here with us, and I just want everybody to know that she's here with us in the background. And just everyone can say hi to Sharon as she's recovering, and we just we love her, and she's one of our originals from this group. So Sharon, thank you so much for making time to be here with us. Been thinking about you all week as you're recovering and recuperating. So thank you, Sharon, for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. For anyone that's never heard about this meetup, this is my go-to every Saturday morning. I'm laying here in bed with my my computer on. So I'm not on screen, but I wouldn't miss it for anything. I'm still working on my podcast. It'll be for small business owners. I'm known as a chronic people watcher. I cannot help it. I notice what people do and what they don't do. And then I'm able to share those stories with the listeners so that they can apply a lot of these strategies that cost little to nothing to implement into their business. And my real mission is to help small businesses thrive, not only post-COVID, but just in general. And so I look forward to getting healthier and being able to be in a position to finally launch it. But again, this is a great community to be surrounded by because they are so supportive. They're there for you, and I highly recommend you check it out. So thank you, everyone.
Excellent. We've been thinking about you. Sharon talked about you on Tuesday in our other meetup group. So everybody's been thinking about you and wishing you well. And you've been in our hearts all week. So I'm so glad to hear your voice, Sharon. Good stuff. Let's jump over to Joshua. Now, he's a little bit of a character. If you're listening at home, you're like, I haven't met this guy yet. We're going to try to wrangle him in here and try to keep him on topic, but he's just one of the nicest guys you're going to meet. He's got these golden pipes. You're just like, oh, wait, what? Yeah, so put your hands over your ears right now and listen to this voice. Joshua, can you say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to say hello and thank you all for being here. You guys have been a certain highlight for me for the last several months now and provide so much information so often. So again, before I get into it, I really do appreciate it. You guys have helped me kind of redefine what I was going to do with my podcast into what it hopefully will be called now, which is, oh, that's a fact. It'll be presenting life lessons, forgotten facts, maybe some historic gold nuggets of things that maybe like Key West getting lost for a day. I had no idea. And who doesn't need Key West in their life? So I am going to be talking about that minutes away after we're done of purchasing my website, and have been having discussions with some of your past guests, Dave, and some of the people that have been on here have been super, super helpful. Everyone from Sharon doing a one-on-one, and Mr. Marsh by going back and forth and really helping me kind of nail this thing down. So this has been a spectacular group, and I hope one day I can help to kind of give back a little bit more than everybody's passed on to me.
Nice. Great to have you here, Joshua. Love having you here. Maria is here. She's working on a brand new show, which makes us all super happy. Just great questions. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I guess I have to have the podcast to come to this meetup. No, even if you're in the journey, Janet's starting, Maria's starting, Joshua's starting, Sharon's here. We're all in this process of learning together. So you don't have to have a podcast to be here. But if you're on that journey, this is a perfect place for you to meet great people because we support each other and we help each other kind of learn and grow. So, Maria, can you please introduce yourself and tell everybody about your new show that you're working on?
Hey everyone, Maria Luna here. As Dave said, I'm working on a podcast called Bougainvilleas. Bougainvillea is a travel podcast that I am hoping to share some of my solo traveling and why is it needed for a community, for specifically for women of color. So I'm hoping to share that, and that's coming soon. And this group has been amazing. I've been learning so much, and I appreciate everyone. So if you are listening, you come to this meetup, and you learn so much, for sure. Thank you.
Excellent. Wow, this is like such a warm, fuzzy, happy place to be today. I love that. And Bill's being on his best behavior. Everyone, did you notice? It's great. Jonathan is here. Again, he always has his hat backwards because it really cuts through the wind and allows him to run faster. I think that's what I'm going with. But Jonathan is here, another great voice here on our meetups and a great resource to tap into. Jonathan, introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. So I've got a couple podcasts. So one is Afterlight Fictions. That one, like it sounds, is a storytelling podcast. So there's original and familiar stories with that one. And it releases at 3 different points during the year. So there's multiple stories that are released with each one. And then the second one is called High Fidelity Conversations. That one's geared more towards people who are active in healthcare, whether it's clinical or educational. My day job, I work in education in the sim lab. So we have stuff that's kind of for a little bit of everyone, and that is monthly. And the topics are kind of all over. So sometimes it's clinical oriented, like I said, or just really specific about educational stuff, whether it's like how to debrief or similar things like that. So, those are the 2 that I got.
Nice. Glad to have you here, Jonathan. Thank you for being here. One of my friends, too, that everyone's my friend here, Dr. Zeest Khan is here, and she has an amazing podcast. Her friends call her Zeest. I call her Dr. Zeest because she is a doctor, but it's exciting to have her here. Zeest, say hi to everybody.
Hi, Dave, and hi, everybody else. I was spending time earlier this week and found myself saying to my husband, I'm going to ask my podcast friends about that. And I love that I'm able to say that and have resources here now that I can shoot a message to when I think of an issue that I develop with the podcast. So it's a great bunch. And Dave, thank you for being the captain of this ship. I'm Zeest Khan. I'm a physician in Northern California. In 2020, our community was hit pretty hard by the COVID-19 infection, and I was a frontline worker. I'm an anesthesiologist, so I was up in everybody's face and bodies, unfortunately. And I fell ill, and then I never got better. I had to step away from medicine in 2021 and focus on my health. And ultimately, I was diagnosed with long COVID, which is a confusing, complex illness that may or may not be new. And it's certainly a disease that I did not learn about in my medical training. So, as I am rebuilding my health, I got motivated and inspired to start a podcast. It's called Long COVID MD. I share my own journey through recovery and really focus on ways to help people utilize the existing healthcare system so that they can get some improved function and reduce their suffering. It's going to be a really long time before we find an ultimate cure, but I want to keep people hopeful and let them use what we have at hand. I've always been a community doctor who works in really high stress environments. We do really big things with limited resources, and I think that's the same approach I've taken to my recovery. So longcovidmd.com and longcovidmd.substack.com are my links. I have, of course, benefited tremendously from this group. So thank you.
Excellent. I love that we can say that the doctor can see you now. And
the doctor is in.
The doctor's here, everyone. Everybody grab an apple. If we are, I don't know, it apparently keeps her away for some reason. I'm not sure. Thank you, Z. Glad to have you here as well. We're going to do open Q&A today. We're going around the room and asking questions of the group, helping each other with our podcasts, giving feedback, giving answers, and being supportive of each other. So as we kind of go through this, I'm going to open up with some ideas and some thoughts to get the ball rolling. But if you have questions on screen, just hit that virtual hand and you'll jump up to the top of the screen and we'll come to you. We did talk last week about an interview on the Diary of a CEO. And there was a gentleman on there talking about how you can use his, we'll have links for everyone listening, how you can use his methods to be a better speaker, to work your way through and learn from that. I would love to come to that if anybody has any comments on that, because we did kind of put that link out last week as an option for you to take a listen. So if you have any comments about that, I'd love to touch on that today. And I would love everyone listening to go listen to that from a podcasting point of view. I think it's going to really help you as a resource. It's 2 hours of content. So you're going to have to take it in bite-sized pieces, but there's a lot of great stuff that we can take and apply to our podcast. So I want to get there today. If somebody has any comments around that, I'd love to get your feedback about that. Let's go to Joshua first. Joshua, jump in.
I swear I'm not a plant. I really swear I'm not, but this is going to sound just like I am. I was listening to your most recent release, Dave, on the How to Podcast series. It was a really interesting conversation with the gentleman about SEO. And I realize for you, this is probably a month or two ago, but I was really fascinated when he said that the goal should always be for each episode title to be 60 characters in length. And that if you had a title that was, say, normally 21, and you can add a subtitle on there after a colon, you're up to maybe 14 more characters. You're at 40. You're at 46. He said, try to make it even longer. Try to get it as close to 60 characters using the right terms. I can't remember what he called it. I wrote it down. I think it was the Google search term language for SEO. And that if you didn't, your likelihood, no matter how good the content, no matter how good the title, no matter how much of a draw there was or some mystery that was bringing people in as a hook, it would not matter as much as those who reach that 60 character mark are hitting some of the SEO terms. Do you guys think that that's accurate? Because what we've talked about in the past in this podcast group was you want to be concise. You want to make sure that all the headings are something that will show up on a computer screen as well as on a mobile screen. You want to get it on every podcast player. So not just the title of your podcast, but the title of each episode is somewhat clearly visible. And if you don't, then what he's saying is completely counter. That it's not as much of an effort that's going to be fully beaten out and worked to your benefit. So what do we think, and is that accurate?
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple things there. Remember that SEO is kind of this thing, a moving target. It's always going to be changing. There's a lot of opinions around SEO right now. And I would encourage people to use, we can talk about the title of your show and the title of your episodes, two different things. Title of your show to make sure that your show name has some descriptive qualities in it so that people can find you. So again, if I have the Dave Show, nobody's going to Google and typing that, unfortunately. I'm not an unknown name. Amy Poehler just released a podcast this week, and she's number one. Because of her podcast? No. Because it's an interview podcast? No. It's because she's Amy Poehler, and Amy Poehler's Amy Poehler. So I can't compete with that. So she's number one, and she's put really hardly any work in there, maybe going on TV to talk about it. Done. So it's easy for her in that sense to be found. So for us that are not Hollywood famous, we need to have something in our title and make sure that it's a searchable term that people are going to come back as a result. So you need to think about how you can make that podcast reach the people who are going to come who have no idea who you are. They're going to type in words that are going to help surface your podcast as a result. So for mine, I have other things besides the How to Podcast series. I only say that on the mic, How to Podcast series, but I have an extension to my podcast title for my show, and those words bring me listeners. So that's important. And when we get into the episode titles, I know that on YouTube, for example, I think there's a 100 character limit. So that includes spaces, dashes, periods, commas, all that, 100 characters total, and YouTube cuts it off. So keep that in mind. A lot of our podcast players will allow for longer descriptive titles for our episodes. And I think Apple this week just made it so you can have 10,000 characters in your show notes. That's a lot of characters. Now, not every app is going to show 10,000 characters. So if you create a 10,000 character podcast show notes that will be attached to your podcast episode, only people on Apple are going to see 10,000 characters, most likely. So there's a lot of things happening, and it's always changing. The biggest thing is, no matter how many character limits you have, 60 is a great number, but just kind of remember that they have to be the right words. It can't just be a bunch of words. So I can't put in my podcast title or show notes or podcast title for the whole podcast words that are unrelated, that are highly searched. I want to make sure that everything that I have in there are not just words that fill up space, but they're good words that lead people back to my show. That's really important. So I like the 100 character limit maximum for the title of my episodes, because it easily translates into YouTube, because my podcast is connected to YouTube. So when I release an episode with Darla on the show, it automatically goes to Apple, goes to Spotify, goes to Audible, and goes to YouTube. And every time I send it to YouTube and I have more than 100 characters in my title for the episode, I have to go in there and manually tweak it and get it down to that magic 100. So think about it in those terms. And remember, that's characters, including spaces and everything else. So be succinct and use tools. You can use Perplexity, ChatGPT, all those things to offer up suggestions to you of what your title could be. What I find some good things to avoid, possibly, especially for new podcasters, don't put the title of your podcast in the episode title, because the title of your podcast is already showing on the screen. It's already in your artwork. So you're giving up valuable space to say the title of your podcast again. You don't need to do that. Some people will tell you to put episode numbers in. Some people tell you not to. Some people will tell you to put them at the front. Some people tell you to put them at the end. I know that the reason why Apple doesn't like numbers in the podcast title is because of the voice activated speakers. So we can say the names right now and it's going to activate your speakers that are behind you. But those voice activated ones where you say something and it comes to life, when you ask it to play the episode, when you have episode 10 in the title, the speakers don't know what to do with that because it's a number. And then it has the name of the episode, right? It gets a little confused, and that's why they don't like it as much. So that's kind of the reason why episode titles aren't always favored. Episode numbers are favored from a user point of view, is because of that. So I like episode titles or numbers in my titles because it's easier to send people to the episode. So a lot of those things are your personal choice. Play with it, see what works. If it stops working, stop doing it, really. And realize that podcast SEO is a constantly changing thing, and the moment all of us figure it out, they're going to change something. So that's the hard part in all that. Bill, jump in.
Yeah, SEO and keywords. I wonder if we might not want to even delve into a little bit more especially for people who are listening or new or thinking about starting a podcast. What is the difference if any SEO optimization, as I understand it? So see, I've been doing this well. I'm not even sure what it is using keywords to drive the audience to you that doesn't know you exist. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then you add in the fact that people are now using AI as a search tool.
Right.
AI operates different than traditional Google search. AI is more conversational based. So it's forming things in the form of a question. It's dialogue more than key stuffing a bunch of words that might relate to your topic into the title or into your show notes. So anything you could do to be more relatable and speak as if you're speaking to somebody who's searching for whatever you're talking about is very helpful. So again, if you have a podcast, if I form a How to Podcast series and I just say good microphones, that's the title of my episode. I'm not giving Google or AI or anybody anything of any value in good microphones as a title for my episode. But if I say 5 best microphones for podcasting and 1 microphone I would never buy. Wait a minute. Right. For better podcasting under $100. Now I've given it tons of things that people might be searching that my podcast would come back as a result from, instead of just saying great microphones. See what I mean? You want to expand that title to have as much juice there that your podcast can be squeezed by all the search engines and be a great result for them. So think about just playing with it. And what I would suggest, if you have an episode in the past and you've had it out for a while and it didn't really do anything, without re-uploading a new one and creating a new episode, just go into the title and make an update to the title and play with it. And just don't change the date, leave the date the same, update the title and hit save. And just see if it comes back with some better search for you and your show because you just tweaked the title a little bit. You can always go back and play with it. So I'm encouraging you to do that and kind of look back at your past episodes and how can you give some new life to them? So think about doing that.
Yeah. And for those who, and I wouldn't let this be a huge factor in deciding a title for an episode, but if you use Buzzsprout, which I do, and you want to create a sound bite, their sound bite titles are very small. If you go beyond, I'm not sure what the character limit is, but I'm going to say if it's 45, that's probably a lot. You'll actually get a message in trying to create that sound bite. So a sound bite on Buzzsprout is anywhere from a 30-second to a 60-second promo that you can do as an audio trailer that you can put up prior to or to promote an existing episode. So, but when it shows up on the screens, it shows up with the title on it, with your logo on it, and things like that. So if you're using Buzzsprout or you're going to think about using Buzzsprout, and you want to use that kind of promotional thing, and thinking of titles, one thing to take into consideration is, and you can't change it for the soundbite. It's got to be the exact same as what it is for your episode. So real quick, and we can, if we're going to be into this subject for a little bit, I'll put it out there for a little bit later on in the discussion. I want to know if anyone here I know David Beckmeyer is, I don't see him on this one, doing live streaming. And if so, what platforms are you using? Because in talking about building community, one of the things I would like to do is start looking at live stream, especially for Tales from South Florida, because that's a way to bring in the local community that knows exactly what I'm talking about in every single episode. But I can't get a clear answer or picture on an affordable and reliable live streaming product.
Good. One that I'm playing with right now, I haven't done it yet, but Boomcaster is one that I'm playing with right now, where you can go live. Pretty straightforward, not very expensive. But Zeus just mentioned that Zeus went live with a stream. Zeus, can you jump in on that? I know you have a question, but can you jump in for that for Bill?
I'm happy to. When you were talking about creating community, I thought about this. So I've done 2 live stream sessions on using the Substack platform. I have a larger group there who follows the podcast, and also I write summaries of each podcast because they're readers over there. They have an option to do a Substack live. For me, it's a little bit, it can be a little bit awkward because right now you have to use your phone, and getting people don't necessarily talk with you, but they leave questions. And on a phone, it can be hard to follow. But what I did was I announced that I was going to do the live stream with a few days' notice. I asked people to submit questions at their own pace. So I got emails and messages on the Substack platform. And then I, went live, answered questions from those pre-written questions, and also took breaks during me talking to review what people were saying on the chat. It is now, they're doing updates pretty regularly. I think now we can finally schedule them in advance because it's still a little bit clunky. I'd love to see it move to desktop format because I'm not, I'm in the old category when it comes to tech, like old generation category when it comes to tech. I don't like using my phone that often. But it was really fun. People responded to it very well, and they're one of my higher engagement content.
Okay. Yeah. And if, for example, if you have a really engaged Instagram following, you could just go live on Instagram, and that's technically you're kind of doing a live stream via Instagram. That's one way to do it. If technology is not your friend and you want to do something live, then leverage your Instagram group. Just tell them when you're going to go live and jump on. I used to, for my Upcycle Canada podcast, when we had our store, I would go live from the store and I'd have people show up, and I do them regularly. The thing with the live stream is you want to try to make it as consistent as possible. So if you're going to do it once a month, do it on the same day at the same time. So people kind of know, and give lots of lead time and let people know it's coming, like Cease was saying, so that people are aware of it. Again, people are busy, people work, people have things going on. There's a lot of live streams I would love to attend, but they're always when I'm doing something else. So I can't be there. So I always listen to it after. It's a great thing you can do is repurpose the content if you can record it and then send it out as an episode. We're kind of doing that right here, actually. Where you get together with people, you have a conversation, and just release it later. It's a great way for people to interact with it. People get a sense of what you do on your live stream, and then you can inspire and encourage people to come to the next one. So it's, again, that's kind of why we're doing this on Meetup, is as an example to you of how you can do this kind of thing for your own show. So you can use Meetup, you can just do it on Zoom, whatever you want, but try to be regular so that people can add it to their schedule. We're doing this group every Saturday morning at 11? Yeah, 11 a.m.
Yes.
I'm like, what time is it? 11 a.m. every Eastern for this group. And it just becomes part of people's routine. And after a while, you get into the flow of having this. Go shift back to Joshua. You were mentioning again that he was calling out schema in around SEO. Now, that was the first time I've ever heard of schema. And I think I actually, in the recording, I'm like, what is that? I kind of asked him, are you
thank goodness you
familiar?
did.
Are you familiar with schema at all?
I am now after listening to the podcast because I went and tried to look it up. Apparently, it's what the base Google search terms are. So if you were to use Google, and he seems very primed on using just Google to try to launch out and what the other platforms are gaming off of. So if you do it to Google, he says, all these Google search term schemas, it's almost like a tag within Google, which he said they're going to get wise to. And he said, he gave us a couple examples about how if you just overdid it, that really wouldn't work. They would kind of weed you out.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because he also mentioned that there were kind of groups that were referring into each other's podcasts or each other's web pages, I think is what he focused on. And that you needed singular people who were not getting a referral back from you or your episodes,
right,
in order to actually count. So the idea of building community, which he was all about, he said doesn't really work within the structure of raising your searchability, doesn't really work for you if you're referring to someone and they're referring right back. It has to be a very one way, a unidirectional referral, which I both didn't love but kind of understand. So yeah, the schema terms are interesting. There are several apps that you can use for free that will kind of review a title if you come up with one, tell you what is or isn't in that high searchability and SEO profile. So yeah, I would definitely suggest going and taking a look at that.
Yeah, it's a great episode. He's a very smart guy. He does this for a living. I don't. So I default to his knowledge and wisdom because he has time to invest in that. So if you haven't heard that episode, go listen. But you're right. So if I link to Bill and Bill links to me, Google goes, yeah, that's not great. But if Bill links to me directly and that's it, awesome. So that opens the door to bring this up. If you're a podcaster or you're going to be a podcaster, get on podcast as a guest because then people are going to link to you without you linking back to them. They do all the work. You just answer questions and be a great human like you already are. And you get all that search ability linking from that host to you. That's a bonus to you. So if you want to get better search results, be a guest, right? Yeah, Joshua.
It's true. But in the engagement piece that you and he were talking about, and in which we've all already discussed numerous times, one of the things if you're a guest, if you're a guest on a show, is you want the host to kind of reach out to you, like you said you've done, and you send them a little link or a little clip that has your podcast of them speaking or something about them that is going to draw interest from their following, their listeners, their community to kind of bring them in. But again, if you do that, if you're giving them a link, and then they're posting that link right back to you, I'm wondering, does that then negate any type of benefit or all the major benefit of just a one-way unidirectional, what do we call it, a back channel, not back channel, back linking, I think you said?
Backlink? Yeah, backlinks. Yeah. Right. Again, like it's amazing when you get into conversation with people who do this for a living. You're like, so I would encourage anybody that listens to that episode to reach out to my guest because he's willing to chat with you and kind of go through your podcast, your website. He's really helpful. And if you mentioned that you heard him on the show and that you're part of the meetup groups, I'm sure he'd love to talk to you and look at your website, give you some feedback. He's a super nice guy. So definitely go listen to the episode. Bring your learning hat with you because there's a lot of great information in there. Thank you for bringing it up, Joshua. That's good.
Of course. Agreed.
Awesome. Good. Now I saw Sharon, you had your hand up. Is there still something you wanted to mention, Sharon?
No, it was really around what you were talking about with SEO. I don't really think that there's an either or, it's more of an and. And as you said, it's always ever evolving.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what you want to do or consider doing when you're putting together a title is, what would your ideal listener be searching for? What, if they're looking for, say, something on customer service, they might look in how to get more customers. Well, that might be the best way to frame your SEO for your title, how to get more customers. And then you could add something on at the end. So it's great to have all these amazing titles. It's what's going to speak to them, even if they're not using SEO. Say they're going through the list of all your episodes. When they look at, say, they've come across you for the first time or they've listened to you before, what's going to flag it for them? Oh, yeah, I really need to listen to that episode. What's going to catch them? So it's always looking at it from, and I've mentioned this before, the WIFM principle, WIIF for Frank M. What's in it for me? So what's in it for them to click on that link for your next episode? What's going to speak to them? So while SEO is great, as you mentioned, it's always ever evolving. And with AI, it's definitely putting more pressure on. So just look at, what would someone be searching for if they wanted to learn more about what I am speaking about in my podcast? So hopefully that will help someone today.
I was hoping you're going to say with them. I think it's like a party drink for me now, Sharon. Every time you say it, I got to take a sip of something. So no, that you're exactly right. Everything has to be about the listener and everything we do has to support the listener. Otherwise, your podcast is not going to do as well as it could. So from the titling, from your podcast name, the show notes, the value has to be there for the listener. Everything's got to point back to them. So again, if you say, Oh, the link will be in the show notes, and then you never do it. What kind of message are you sending to your audience? Make sure you're detailed and you're giving them all the resources you're bringing up. So a little cheat for you as you're interviewing someone on your show, and a website or a resource is mentioned, a book, whatever. Jot down website link or whatever as a reminder, and then go get those links. Make sure you have clickable links. Another part, not just howtopodcast.ca as my link. That's not a clickable link within my notes, but the full URL, including all the fancy HTTP, all the stuff at the beginning of it, that whole clickable link is something that's very helpful to your audience when they're on their phone, because then you don't have to do a copy paste into Google, and they weren't going to do that. So clickable links are really great for your show notes as well. Keep that in mind. And one thing I know, Zeus, you were talking about formatting your titles in forms of questions. Now, I like that because, again, if I'm going to go and figure out how to change the windshield wipers on my car, I'm going to say how to change the windshield wipers on a 2017 Hyundai Veloster. That's what I have. So that's how I type it into my search on YouTube, for example, or Google. I'm typing it in the form of a question, and I get great results because it's specific. It's a how-to question, and I love that for my show. I'd love for people to try that for your podcast and use kind of question type format structure for your titles, and just try it. See if it works. Instead of just giving it out as facts, try to formulate it more of a question, and just go back and look at some of your past episodes that didn't perform the way you wanted, and maybe just tweaking it into more of a question and then instead of an answer might give you better results. I'd love for you to try and then come back and tell us the results of what that happens. Do you have any follow-up on that, Zeus?
No, I think it's a good idea. There is a lot of opinion in this space. So someone else suggested make it very clear and concise what you're talking about.
Yep.
I also like question titles. The podcasts I listen to, I love seeing a quote from the podcast as part of the title because it whets my appetite a little bit. I think it's fun and cute. And not everybody does. So I think I've been hesitant to change all of the titles, even though I've been thinking about changing some. But maybe I'll try.
Right. Remember too that the name of your show, the title of the episode, and the show notes are not three separate pieces. They all work together, and they all help each other. They all support each other. So if you don't like it in the name of your show, or you don't like it in the name of the episode, then use it in the show notes. You put those questions in there. The other thing too is to go to Google and type what you think would be the question that your episode answers, and then scroll to the bottom and said, people also ask ... And then take all those questions and put those into your show notes as well. Because then you're going to get what Google is saying, that, well, when people ask this specific question, they're also curious about these things. Could open the door for more content, more episodes for you, more episode ideas. And if you capture those questions, throw them into your episode notes for the episode, then there's a chance that if somebody types in one of those questions, people also ask, or that actual specific question, because it's in your notes, it works. Now, I'll tell you how I know this works. I had 20 authors, 20 chapters in one book, and I interviewed the authors for the book. It was a big project I did. And so I had a list of all of the authors who were in this specific book. Everyone had their own chapter. Not everybody wanted to be on the podcast. So out of the 20, let's say 15 were actual guests, 5 were not. But if you type in the name of that author who wrote a chapter in that book, who did not come on my podcast, they still showed up in Google and YouTube search because they're in the notes to my show, not in the title, not in my podcast title, not my episode title, but in the show notes. They still came back as a result, even though there was no episode for them, because I had them listed in my notes. So again, don't abuse it. Don't be putting words in there that have nothing to do with the content. That's a bad result. And Google's going to punish bad results. YouTube's going to punish bad results because you said this one thing and you didn't deliver That's not a good experience. Remember, back to Sharon, what's in it for the listener? Make sure that everything that you have there supports the content that you're doing. It's really going to help you to connect better with your audience. So good questions. I love that. Darla, jump in.
Yeah, kind of pulling in a lot of these different elements, what's in it for the listener, having that title with the colon that is going to, get that SEO as well, which game changer for me is I use Chat GPT every single day, and I get my titles and my show notes podcast description from that. And I've trained Chat to talk like me because I don't want it to be some, just generic thing. I want it to sound like I wrote it. So I upload the transcript of every episode. Anytime I do a speaking engagement, I have a couple collaboration books. Everything I do that has text, I put into Chat so it knows how I speak. It also helps with the social media post as well. And I ask it to be SEO friendly. I don't know if it is. This is a topic that I'm kind of green on, but at the very least, it's very engaging. Like what it comes back with is like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I wish I could have thought of that.
Right.
But it pulls people in. So, for people that are new to podcasting, I know it can be overwhelming, just the podcast itself. And as I've brought in guests, what I've also started doing is while I do an organic conversation, I always have a list of 10 questions as a guide. And so I take their bio and put in their website and ask Chat, this is the topic. This is kind of what I'd like to focus on. Give me 10 questions. So I don't sit there for hours going through everything that they have.
Smart. Yeah. Anything you can do to be more geared toward your guest, smart. That's a good use for that. I like that. Awesome. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Zeest, you're back again. What do you got?
I have a different topic question.
Sure.
If that's
Let's go.
all right.
Let's go.
So, speaking about, I guess, tech, I am loving the content that I have. I have a lot more ideas. I'm really continuing to look to streamline the process of production. I am spent more time than I want just putting the chapter names and time stamps. It's a family affair, so like I'm recruiting family members to do work, but what automation devices do others use right now? I'm interested again in the potential benefit of Zapier or Zapier, and which actions that might be able to help me with specifically in podcasting, because I know it's not particularly designed for podcasting. And then the other question is, what kind of CRMs are people using, if any? How are you keeping track of contact information when you get an email? I have email lists in different places. I'd love to keep one stored and keep my notes on what that person told me, their story, what their context of their life is, and what their interests are. So that's my question.
Cool. I'll give you one thing that I have. I use Calendly for all my interviews. So Calendly gives me a downloadable summary of all my past guests, their email, their contact information. I even have, because they get text reminders of the episode recording and stuff sent out. So I have their phone number, which is great. I have their emails. I have my notes for everybody that's been on my show. So that's a great starting point for an email capture. Now, that doesn't give me permission to email them, because they signed up to come on my show. They didn't sign up for my newsletter. So don't just assume that I can just start, sending them notes. But at least I have that information. That's one thing that's a good thing about using a service like Calendly to book people, is you'll have that. Having people sign up for your newsletter as a listener, if you don't have guests, again, that's a great way to leverage that audience. So for new podcasters, think about starting right away, offering something to your audience, even if it's just a coffee chat we talked about, Darla, where people can get together with you. At least then you have their email address, and then you can have them opt in the future. to maybe an ongoing newsletter, whatever you want. Those are always good opportunities for you. So to Z's question, then, what is anybody using? Is there tools that you're using? I'm sure Jonathan's got like 10 tools. He can just spout off like that. Like he's just that type of guy. Any tools that we can offer to Z? Anything we're trying or that you can offer up? What do you got? Go, Darla. Sure.
Yeah, that's why I had my hand up. So I am technically challenged as well. So it has been a challenge to say the least, but I do use a lot. HubSpot is my CRM. I'm actually using the free version of it right now, and it's been pretty good. And basically, if I have a meeting with you, or I have applied to be a guest, or I'm having someone on a guest, I track everything through there. I've connected it to my Outlook, and I put all my emails in there. If for some reason one gets in to Outlook, I just copy and paste the original message and then reply that way. So I have everything. I keep a task too. So I'm with a kind of a status. So I know, oh, I recorded this podcast with this person, and then I'll put a release date in the notes and then put a reminder myself to check on that close to that release date. So that kind of helps me keep track as well. For my guests, I ask them to, so I use Calendly as well, and I incorporate that. And I have templates and auto flows. So when they schedule a podcast recording with me, they automatically get a template email that explains everything. I assume they know nothing. Most of them know, hey, you need headphones, please. If you have a mic that's helpful, be quiet, in a quiet place. So I don't have to do any of that. It automatically goes. It automatically sends recommendations. I have used Zapier a little bit. I'm still learning all the stuff. I've been a little challenged with it, but it is connected to several of my apps. If they click on my website in a specific place, it starts this sequence of things that are happening and for different reasons. In MailChimp, I have my email list there as well. I try when possible to keep it within MailChimp, but I have had to connect Zapier to that when it comes to my website. So I hope that's helpful.
Does that sound familiar, Z, then?
Yeah, that is pretty helpful. Calendly has been a game changer. There are limitations with Zapier and with Calendly. A lot of these podcasting tools are still not talking to one another. So I use Riverside as a platform and Buzzsprout as a platform. Those don't connect to Calendly. I can't get still somebody a link to their own Riverside studio for the podcasting sent automatically when they schedule a podcast. So one workaround is making a generic Riverside link and including that in the welcome message, but it doesn't include the specific date and time, and then it makes a little organizing on the back end a little more challenging.
Okay. One word of caution with a generic link that everyone has access to is everyone has access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was invited on a podcast and the host sent me that generic link on Zoom. And I came in about 3 minutes early to our meeting and I saw that he was already there waiting. I'm like, oh, I'm ready. So I clicked the link to walk in virtually on him interviewing somebody else on the show. And I'm like, he's looking at me like, why are you here? And he got angry with me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just clicked the link. I'm sorry. I'll get out. And I left and I just waited for a couple of minutes and then he came back on. He's like, why did you do that? I'm like, well, you gave me a link and I'm just trying to be ready for you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I totally screwed up his interview because all of a sudden Dave shows up. It's like, who's this guy? Right on the screen.
I think he screwed up his interview.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm trying to be a nice guy. So anyways, that's the only caution with a generic is everybody has access. So I like that Calendly connects to Zoom for my pre-chats. So again, I had this one-time connection. It also Meetup connects to Zoom, for example. So every time I create a Meetup room, it creates a new link. I know Sharon would much rather have one link for all time. I agree with Sharon on that too. But it creates a new link every time. Anytime you can kind of combine tasks together frees you up to do other things. So yeah, Yeah, these one tools that kind of do a lot of some things don't do a lot of some things well, but they'll do a lot of some things kind of well, and then you have to kind of pick up the pieces. But I'm glad to see you're investigating these because it's going to help you. Now, Jonathan's got his hand up, and I'm sure he's going to correct us all. But Jonathan, jump in. What do you got?
No corrections.
Okay, good.
I was trying to take some or write some ideas down as Darla was talking. So I don't think if you mentioned Canva, sorry, I'm repeating. I don't think you said that, or if you did, you spawned something in my brain to talk about it. So
Good.
that I really like as a resource for a lot of different things. I'm sure a lot of you already know about Canva. If not, even some of the free versions, there's a lot of really good stuff. I can't go. I've used them for business cards. I've used them for podcast templates because you can just type in podcast template and it'll do the right proportions for that stuff. So you get the right pixels for uploading to like Apple. And then you can save, it might be in the professional version only that you get to save like business style brands and templates and stuff. But that way it's a little simpler when you want to copy and paste some things quickly. If you have if you want to do, say, a different podcast artwork for each episode, but you want a particular logo to pop on there, it might make it easier to find stuff. But I mean, copy and pasting isn't that hard anyway for a little logo. The other thing, so I've talked with Dr. Khan a little bit about this offline. So I'm willing to sacrifice some personal data for Google and to be in that ecosphere. So if you don't have any qualms about that, I do pay for like one of their more, not the free tier, but like one of the business versions. And so I get some additional things, but I use their calendar instead of like Calendly. I do like Calendly. I got nothing against it. I'm already in the Google atmosphere. And so being able to create links quickly, like if there's info I need to share with someone to or from, and they need to send data that's maybe a little too large for a normal email file, then I can create a link really quickly in my Google stuff. And I can do that from my phone because it's Google, and then send that in an email. So for me, that works nice since that's my preferred mode of some things with my phone anyway. And then since it is Google, there is some integrations with like Squarespace. And so that's what I use for one of my websites. And I will say, just a side note on something to be careful of. So someone mentioned, oh shoot, I forget the email service, but I use, what's the one everybody, it's got a monkey in it. What's the name?
Mailchimp.
Thank you. Mailchimp. Yep. I use Email Octopus. And so either one, there's usually templates with those that you can do stuff. And so take advantage of the templates. It does take time to figure out how to navigate stuff usually. But then once I have a template, it's like, okay, when I start a new email to say, I've got new episodes coming out, I can just go to my template and modify a couple things and it makes it much faster. But that does take time to do the templates. Back to the Squarespace thing. So they tying this in with the email octopus. So I noticed as I got further along in my journey with some things and I started to do the email newsletter option, they changed my like sender email thing because they're like, hey, using a generic Gmail account can look like spam. And then they morph my email into something grotesque. And they're like, this is somehow more friendly. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. But at any rate, if you're able to invest a little more money up front with like, I think Google has certain options. I forget the name of it, but like each service usually has a tier where you can make it the email that says like Jonathan@afterlightfictions.com. That'll be more friendly for when you're sending marketing emails. So it's less likely to get hit as spam. Now it's still good to remind people anyway, like, hey, you might have to check your spam box just like to identify this as something that's not spam in the future. But allegedly it's less likely to be hit as spam in the first place versus like a random one that just comes from afterlightfictions.com or whatever. So I'm still working out how that is handled, but it's weird. And the problem is because of like in one of my websites, I already had a generic Gmail initially, before I got the website stuff with Squarespace. And then they're like, oh, you can pay for this additional tier and get the fancier email. And I'm like, oh, I wish I knew that sooner, because then you can't do the integrated option. And so, like, this long, confusing rant is just to say, like, it gets a little confusing, at least for my brain. And so, the other thing too is the one website that I have, I did do the fancy integrations with Google. So it's like Jonathan at whatever. And I have to log into it special. I can't just do like a normal Google thing. And I'm like, can we just have a normal way to log into something, please? Like, just, I want to pay for the thing. That's all I want to pay for, and make it a simple login. So the gist is, it's worth doing a little research into what all you're getting with your websites if you haven't gotten one yet, what all comes with your email packages. Is it worth upgrading to certain tiers? And if you do upgrade to certain tiers, what's included in like the business stuff, because it might overlap with things that the website provides you, and you can save some money by just investing in one or the other. And so, and that will help with deciding like what templates do you get with stuff. So like back to the Squarespace, I like their templates for one of my websites for, I have some like purchasable things, and I pay for the version where it's a pain in the butt to set up the templates, but once you got it, it just saves time for setting up the marketing things. So again, I can see I'm putting some of you to sleep, so apologies. This is all to say, like, just do some research into what is offered with each tier from the website stuff. And then I've mentioned Alphonic before. I know I've talked with Dr. Khan about that. That is something, again, it does have integrations with Google, so yay for that, but it does other things too. I think Dropbox might be one of those. That's another service that has free tiers for sharing info readily. And Alphonic's really good. Just if you haven't heard me harp on this before, if you just need something not to necessarily edit stuff to take out words, but just to like level out all the different volumes and like maybe get rid of some background noise. Again, you can make templates. So when you upload something in the future, like I always want to pick this template to export in an MP3 that's stereo, and then boom, it does its magic, spits it out. You can have it notify you when it's ready. And those are some of the things that I use like in my own workflow to, again, I'm a big fan of templates, even with like scripts. If you can have some things that are ready to go and then just modify it to make it special for that interview, have at it. So that's, I think that's all I can bore you with at this moment.
It's good. Yeah. Don't reinvent the wheel every time you go to do an episode or your show notes or whatever. Invent the process once, have a template, use the same template, tweak it as you need to, but create it once, use it often, and just tweak as you go. Janet's like, I think I'm not even going to have a podcast now. No, Janet, keep going, keep going. There's a lot of great tools out there, a lot of knowledge in the room. I love this. We're getting close to our 12:30-ish time. What I would love is for you here with us to encourage the listener who's listening to this podcast. They're here with us. They're hearing a lot of voices that they haven't met yet. They're going to come listen to your show and click the links in the show notes to come listen. But I would love for each of you to talk to the listener who's thinking about joining a community for podcasters, who's thinking about maybe starting a show, your perspective to encourage them. Let's focus on them for this last little bit while we're here together. And your words of wisdom, encouragement, support for that person listening. Whether they come here to our meetup or not, I would love for them to join us. But I want to encourage them as a listener because they're listening from around the world. It's amazing to see where people listen to the show from. And the idea that you could encourage somebody who, like you, is either starting a podcast or has been doing it for a while. I just love for each of you to pour into them more than just tips and advice, but your encouragement for them, for the mindset, the mentality to be a great podcaster. Whatever you have to offer to the listener, I would love for you to do that. Sharon, are you okay if we come to you first for that?
Certainly.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. So what I would say to anyone listening to this is it doesn't matter where you are on your journey, whether you're just thinking of getting started, whether you're in the midst of launching or you've had a podcast for a while. Besides being part of this group, remember why you got started, what the reason was. And I can only imagine if you've been going for a while and you don't have as many listeners as some other big podcast has, or you've been comparing yourself to someone else, please stop that. It's not important. If you can change one person's life in some way by what you've said in your podcast or what you've done, that is worthy. And you are worthy of your dreams. It's very important to not get caught up in imposter syndrome and start comparing yourself to someone else. And then as for this group, again, doesn't matter where you are on this journey. You could have had a podcast for several years, but by coming here, you feel part of this family, part of this tribe, where you can share your experience or feel free to ask questions or just feel like you belong to a group of like-minded individuals. So I highly suggest, first of all, keep moving forward with your plans for your podcast. And second, come and try us out. We're really cool folks, and I'm sure you'll find great value in coming by. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Awesome to have you here with us. If you've ever thought, well, I'm not really feeling it today, I'm not going to go to the Saturdays. Sharon had surgery this week and she's still here. So I'm like, come on. It's such an encouragement, Sharon, to have you here. When I saw you on the screen as a list of people in the room today, I'm like, yes, that's so great. So Sharon, thank you so much for making time for us this week.
Well, thank you for being my family. It was, I had the surgery on Tuesday. It's now Saturday. And I was looking at, okay, what do I need to do to be up and ready to be here on Saturday morning? So I'm so glad. Unfortunately, none of you can see me, which is probably a good thing right now, but just seeing all of you and hearing your voices. And again, there's this sense in me that everyone wants to help each other. Even if you think, well, what have I got to lose by coming here? You've got nothing to lose. And if you think, what have I got to give? You don't know until you show up and someone asks a question or shares a concern or has this feeling of self-worth that they're dealing with. You don't know what you might be able to say to help that person find their path again. So I always say, please don't discount yourself. Just know that you have value and you can give and you can be of service. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Victoria, what would you say to a podcaster listening to this going, I don't know about community. I don't know how important it is, or I'm just struggling with my podcast. What do you got for them?
Well, Sharon, I'm so glad is recovering and she's back here and she took so much of my words I was going to say. But in the very beginning, I was very hesitant because we all have different topics that we want to discuss. And in the beginning, I sat with Dave. He is my Yoda of inspiration for podcasting. And I said, I don't think I can do this. And it was just me. And it was about surviving domestic violence and surviving different forms of abuse and the humility behind it. And when you realize that you are making a difference in someone's life, like Sharon said, and it's the fact that you're highlighting the strength of other people and providing those little nuggets that some people could never have come up with or Googled or found or anything, it's a huge help for people. Because if you start out, you hear stucco, if you start out doing your podcast and you don't have enough inspiration in yourself, think about the people that you're going to touch. Think about the fact that, like I tell people all the time, put your headphones in, put your hearing aids in like I have, and listen to these podcasts. And you realize that you're not alone. You realize that you matter. And it's you who started this podcast that could save a life, that could make a huge difference in someone's life. You get to meet amazing people like the people in this group, which are just phenomenal. And they're amazing human beings. So to be able to have the ability to use your voice for people who feel voiceless, it's such an inspiration. And I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I can tell you that firsthand. And it went from to Dave going, just do it, just do it. So, never compare yourself to anyone. It's not a competition. You just have, if you have one listener and that saves their life or makes a difference positively in their life, then everything you've done is worth it. So take the chance, take the leap, and go out there and come in here with us and see what we can offer you. And everybody in here has their own realm of expertise. And so you'll get your answers. And obviously go to Dave because he is the Yoda.
Small and green. And I put things in the wrong order when I talk. Podcasting fun. Is it? Yeah. Or something. Anyways, little ears. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I like that. Darla, again, podcaster listening to the show. Maybe early days in their journey as a podcaster, thinking, who would ever listen to me? Like, who cares what I have to say? Like, I've never done this. I'm not trained. I didn't go to school for this. Like, who would ever listen to my show? What would you say to somebody listening?
Yeah. First of all, I wish I'd known about this group when I first started podcasting. I didn't even know it was going to be a thing in my life until I started to guest on others, and I loved it. But I had to do it all alone. I went on Buzzsprout, and they have a Buzzsprout school, and I watched all the videos, and I bought the equipment. This community, if I had known about it, it would have been so much easier. It would have been less tears and frustration and screaming at the computer. But I did it. Also, don't have to be perfect. If you hear an echo right now, I've been recording episodes. I've got my mic. You probably can't even tell because I have no furniture in my house right now. I've been in the process of moving from state to state. But I recorded an episode last night. So what? It wasn't the greatest quality, but it's the message. And I want to tag on what Victoria said because we have similar backgrounds. It is really about the message. What I have found is that sharing my stories, because I started doing just solos, was so healing to me. And it really is about that mission. This is free content for women who have suffered trauma and narcissistic abuse. I want to reach them. I want to help them. And that's what I focus on. And also come to this group. If you're even just thinking about it, come to the group. It's for a lot of us, we probably work at home. When we're podcasting, we're staring into a screen of nothing but our own face. It is so nice to have someone else to talk to. And even if it's not even about podcasting, just the banter that you didn't hear before the recording started, it makes my week.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Darla. Very good. Very good. Glad to have you here. Bill, somebody who's thinking I'm either too old or too young to be a podcaster, and I'm struggling with that. You have a podcast about getting older. Podcasting for you, what would you say to somebody who's wrestling with the idea of their own show?
I would say just do it. For people who are thinking about it, who are hesitant, they're in the planning stages. When will I be ready? Do I have the right equipment? If you have an idea, if you have something that you want to say, do it. It might not be perfect the first time out. Believe me, you want to hear not perfect? Go back and listen to the first episode I dropped with Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older. That is so far from perfect and so far from where I am now, 40 episodes later, from where I started. It won't be perfect when you first start. If you're hesitant, but if this is something you want to do or something you want to try, do it. If you don't, it'll always be sitting there in the back of your head. Could I, would I? Every time you listen to a podcast that you like, you'll think, I could have done that. Maybe I could have, but whatever it is you don't think you have, just go ahead and do it. Because the one thing that you have that I did not have, like Darla said, when I started was this group. Had I had this group, I think everything I did would have come faster. Getting better at it would have come faster. Confidence would have come faster. The number of times that I thought about quitting, that I thought, who's listening to this? I'm just sitting in a room talking to myself. Now I know that other people have the same feelings. Other people have the same insecurities. Dave told me I had to be on my best behavior today, but I'm going to use the F word here. And, I'm going to use it twice. It's family and friends. Because if you want to come to this group, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for support, if you have questions where you won't be laughed at for asking the question, then this is the group for you. Because these people, they are my friends. I've never met any of these people face to face, but I know I can come here and say anything I want. I can express my greatest insecurity about podcasting, and every person in this meeting, and some that aren't here right now, would have my back. At one meeting, one person who's not here today, Flavian, the wonderful Flavian, just made a passing remark about a book he read, became an entire episode for my show. Just that one idea. I went and investigate. I went and bought the book, and it became an episode. There's so much here. So if you're thinking about it, don't worry. Listen, I started this when I was 60. Well, I was in my 60s. And it was like 2 years ago. So I was 65 when I started. And I thought, what do I know about it? I'm too old. I'm way past the tech of this and everything else. But you're not too old. And even if you're young, you're not too young. You have a voice. You have something to say, and someone needs to hear it.
Nice. Well said, Bill. Well said. Joshua, we got listeners listening to this podcast for the first time, hearing this meetup group, hearing all these amazing voices. What do you got to say to encourage a podcaster listening today?
Well, if this is your first time listening to this group talk and to be a part of the what feels like magic to me, then you're in the right place. If you have any kind of curiosity, if you have any kind of questions, if you have any kind of wisdom that you want to pass on, because um, amount of experience that this group has collectively is incredibly valuable. The just wisdom and curiosity that kind of gets coupled with a certain amount of kindness every single time I've come is nothing short of magical. It really is. I walk away if I've got questions feeling so much better. I think Bill's spot on. This is a group that is going to motivate you. This is a group that is not looking to tear anybody down. And yeah, you've got people like Flavian who are just intellectual madmen. They have just so much experience in different parts that we haven't considered. You've got professionals from all different walks of life that are kind of bringing their collective knowledge and spirit to a group that is so open and so welcoming. If you need that kind of support, this is that kind of high value group that you really are looking to find. So if you're a fledgling podcaster like myself, going to this and committing to sharing and being a part of this group is one of the best decisions you'll certainly make. And if it isn't, great news. It doesn't cost anything. We, out of the kindness of this lovely Canadian's heart, Dave Campbell's put together a sincerely supportive group that is open and welcoming to all. So I've thanked you numerous times. I will continue to do it, Mr. Campbell. But Yoda is a well earned moniker for you. So much obliged to you and to everybody else who continues to come here. So thank you.
Thanks, Joshua. Very good. Glad to have you here. Excellent. ZSCon, my favorite doctor ever, is here. For Z's, for you and from your lens, your perspective, maybe somebody who's dealing with health issues, maybe they have a story that could help people. The power of podcasting. Like, what has it meant for you as a podcaster?
Oh, it's meant a lot. What a great question. I was really embarrassed that I got sick. I was ashamed that I couldn't do what I used to do. I was really driven, like a lot of us are. And it's taught me how to be more comfortable with myself, more gracious with myself. And more than anything, podcasting has allowed me to connect with other people who are also feeling lonely, feel like they're the only person who is going through this particular struggle, and realize that we're not actually alone. We're isolated, but part of a community. And so that's a gift that I don't know how to repay. So even if, I can't continue doing this, I've met so many remarkable people through the podcast, not just this podcast group. So it's cool. You've said before that you like to collect people and just have cool people around you. It's a great idea, and it's what's happening to me. I guess the only other thing I'll say is, as I've been listening to everyone else, is that, I specialized in open heart and lung surgery, anesthesia for that, and did a lot of trauma cases, spent a lot of time in the ICU. These are complex situations that are high stress. And even though podcasting has lower stakes, it can still feel overwhelming and complex. You don't have to do everything at once, but you have to do something right now. And that's what gets you through somebody crashing in the hospital. That's what's gotten me through going from bedbound to now being able to speak and being upright. And that's what's going to get you through whatever project that seems scary and intimidating to you. So that's I guess all I can say.
Love it. I love it. That's a great story. Jeez, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Janet, you're working on a new podcast idea. You're here with us and family. Sharon is a mutual contact who we love, who's been here forever. And having you here, Janet's great. I'm really encouraged by having you here. your thoughts to a podcast listener who's thinking about starting a show? Anything you could say to encourage them as you're starting your show?
Well, I don't know now.
Come on.
But I will say that thank you to Sharon. I am here. I met Dave like 3 years ago now, probably on another program that we were just part of. And I had my radio show. I absolutely loved doing my radio show because it was all about curiosity. I'd see something written on like a social media and I contact them. I contacted the psychologist. I said, I loved your story about your daughter. Will you come on my show? Like, that's what I loved about that. And I'm all about curiosity and sharing people. And hadn't thought I'd do this, but I came because of community and because I want to support. I think everybody, if there's a podcast out there that's there to serve, I don't think anybody creates a podcast just to listen to themselves. I think they have a reason, and you guys are just so supportive that I am now considering that and know that I can reach out any Saturday or even a message to somebody that I can get help. And like Dr. Zeist, that what's triggered this now to begin is another health issue. And it's just, I want people to know there's help out there. And I think that every podcast has a gift for somebody. And so whenever I sign up for my Saturday or my Tuesday, I say to learn and support. And so you don't have to have a podcast. You can come learn and support. But the other thing is to share the podcast. Like, there's lots out there. We don't know. I've been on lots. I have friends that have been on lots. And we just need to keep this going out there because we don't know what we don't know. And podcasting helps.
Yeah, great. I love the connections we make here. It's so good. Janet's been filling up my inbox with guests for my show. I'm like, wow, it's like an avalanche. I love it. So the connections and the fact that we think about each other when we're not here together, that we're in each other's thoughts, we're creating content because of something somebody said, to what Bill said for Flavian. Like, it's so cool how we're just interacting with each other. So I love it. Maria, you're working on your new show as well. Any words of wisdom from a learner? I say, Maria, the best teachers are the best students. The fact that you're learning and teaching what you already know stuff just by being here, which is great. I love the confidence from you whenever you jump on and ask questions. It's great having you here. Somebody's listening to this, Maria, they're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to fit in here. What would you say to them?
I just gotta say that this group, it's more of like a podcast university for me. I'm a student, currently a music student right now. I have background in tech and data, but this group, I think I'm getting so much research and I'm just grateful for it. When I was thinking about doing the podcast, I had a list and I said, well, I don't think I can get through all of them. When I started putting my equipments together, it took me a long time. And of course, I used ChatGPT to figure them out. But still, I needed to purchase them and figure them out. And so I couldn't get past that first stage. So with this group, I hear all of you, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm not alone. I'll get there eventually. So I'm almost there. So it's coming soon. So I am so grateful for this group. So anyone who is wanting to do a podcast, come to this podcast university with Dave and everyone.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, Maria. This is great. Jonathan, your thoughts as we wrap up. What would you like to say to the listeners listening to our conversation? Anything that we haven't touched on that we should cover?
For anyone listening who might have been thinking kind of what Janet was joking about earlier, when it's like, oh, I don't know now, this is a lot of info. I don't know if I want to do the podcast thing. I like to remind people as much as I can, like, podcasting is as in-depth as you want it to be or as brief as you want it to be. You really don't have to do all the things. And especially right now, we're at a point in podcast history where like what a podcast is, that word means some different things depending on the group of people you're talking with. And that's not a bad thing, but it just makes it confusing when you're just starting out in it. So when you hear people say like, oh, you got to do all this social media, you got to do all the like the best of the best equipment and all this other stuff, like if you want to do it for funsies and you have the budget for that, then that's just what gets you going. Cool. Have at it. Like have fun with it. But at the same time, remember why you want to do it to begin with. And you can start on the low end of things in terms of all the things you have to manage and then build into other stuff. So for me, I'm just an audio only podcast. I know that's the bandwidth that I have to support stuff, and I'm cool with that. Like the video stuff intrigues me, but I know I don't want to give to that right now. So that's where I'm at. And especially with like all the social media stuff, what little I have, I've debated just getting rid of it because it doesn't bring me any joy when I go to do it. But that's what works for me in my particular case. So everybody, if you're doing it for business reasons, the things you tackle might be different than for just a personal podcast. So just keep in mind, you can start with just a little bit and add to it rather than feel overwhelmed.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. It's great to have you here. And for you listening to the show, there's like 500 episodes now of the How to Podcast series, which is insane to know that many episodes about podcasting. But you get to hear from some of these great people who come on the show as guests and share their journey. And that makes me really happy because then you get to meet some of my friends. And there's going to be links in the show notes, a lot of links. But go and check them out. Go listen to these podcasts that are up and running and be ready for some new podcasters that are coming out of this group. And I'm excited to see everybody go and launch their show, connect with their audience, and do this with their audience in the future. So my thanks to everybody on the screen with me today. And again, to you listening, thank you for being part of the How to Podcast series. All the links and everything in the show notes as always. And you can always come over to howtopodcast.ca. There's a link right there for our meetups. Super simple. You can go there and click right through and come and join this happy group of amazing people and be here on Saturdays and on Tuesdays as well, 2 times a week, just to help you with your podcast journey. Again, to everybody on my screen in front of me, thank you for investing so much time in this group and for making this a priority for each other. I just love this community and I love what you guys do for each other. It's very rewarding to be part of this every week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the entirety of the episode, including this part. You know what? A lot of people leave right now. So we'll let them leave. Give them a second to go. Okay, now it's just you and me. We have our meetups that we do for the How to Podcast series. We do them during the week, and we also do them on Saturdays. So twice a week, you have the opportunity to meet other podcasters, just like you. Some people have just started. Some people haven't even released an episode yet. Some have been doing it forever. And we get together and talk podcasting. We want to help you in community to continue with your show, to start your show, to grow your show. So come and meet listeners of this show in one space on meetup.com. Again, through howtopodcast.ca, you'll see the links. It's completely free to join. Come whenever you have an opportunity to come. There's no commitment. You don't have to sign any waivers. You can just come join us. Come join the conversation. We'd love to have you there because the only thing that's going to make these meetups better is you being there. So I'm hoping you will say yes. And you'll say, Dave, I'm tired of podcasting by myself. I wish there were people I could connect with that are fellow podcasters and share my frustrations with guests who ghost me and my editing software is crapping out on me and I'm just having this hard time. I'm just having a hard time coming up with podcasts, episodes and titles and all the things and social media. Wouldn't it be great to get in a room with other podcasters and share best practices and learn? 3 of our 4 Saturdays every month are themed. So you have a topic, but that last Saturday of every month is open question and answer. Ask anything. Come meet a podcaster. Come enjoy the podcasting community through howtopodcast.ca. Come to our meetups. Can't wait to see you there.